Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. Today is yet another installment in our new series, Mastering the Matrix. Today, I don't know what I should even call this video. Creeping on a spiritual come up? I don't know. It sounds like a Bone Thugs and Harmony song, don't it? How do we elevate in our physical world when we find ourselves at odds with it? Right? I think this is a question I know, at least in my heart and in my mind and my soul, in my life, I have been pondering for quite some time. If we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and dominions, it means that our battle is taking place in the spiritual realm, right? It means that everything that we do is based on some sort of laws or principles of a heavenly nature that dictates what takes place in this world. Now, one thing I think that's really hard and it kind of creates a disconnect is it's totally fucking opposite. The way things work down here, right? The way that things work in the physical world, they seem to be counterintuitive to the spiritual. Right? They don't seem to jive together very well at all. Matter of fact, one could surmise that in order to be successful in the physical world, you basically have to be a spiritual sack of shit. You know? Especially in business, right? Like, a lot of people see it like that. And I'm not saying that it is or isn't, but think about the most successful people on planet Earth, and I really want you to think about this. You know, people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and, you know, Warren Buffett and so on and so forth, right? These are people that 9 times out of 10, most people, unless they're completely indoctrinated into some fucking system where they believe these people shit gold, don't find these to be the very best of humanity. Matter of fact, no matter how much philanthropy they do, no matter how many non-profit organizations they open up, people see them as evil. To get ahead, most people feel the only way to get ahead is to lie, to cheat, to steal, right? To have a lack of emotion, a lack of empathy. You know, because it's all about the bottom line. Any business, any corporation is all about the bottom line. When they have to make cuts, you know, even if it only saves them like, a few dollars a day or, you know, a few pennies on the day, in the long run, it makes them more money, more profit. So they'll lay off thousands of employees. They'll replace them with machines and technology and robotics, right? That's not exactly the moral thing to do, now is it? So we're taught that if we want to get ahead, we have to, you know, be shrewd in our dealings. You know? How do we come to terms with this? You know, is it, I was listening to Manly P. Hall the other day, and he's saying basically that mystics, you know, are some of the only people that get it right, because even religion, you know, Christianity in particular, they talk about prosperity and how it comes only, you know, through God. And, you know, here, give your money to this church and, you know, God will bless you. Right? Shrewd dealings. The same stuff that Jesus was like flipping over the tables of the tax collectors for. Charging, you know, for spirituality, and yet at the same time, we know that anything that's given to you freely, one, either doesn't have value, or two, is something that's probably propagandized and being shoved down your throat with some agenda. So it's like, what do we put value in? Who do we put value in? And why? Do we have a choice? Yes, we do. You know, we can be like the mystics and live in poverty and, you know, ashes and sackcloth and all that shit that you hear about the prophets of old. And, you know, they were so tortured. They were the most tortured people on planet Earth. Look at the Bible. I'm telling you, every prophet, woo! in prison, poverty. The Son of Man has no place to call home, right? He has no place to rest his head. So when we're in that spirit, it's at odds with the world, a world built on consumerism, a world driven by profit, right? And I hate to say it, profit is not something that is moral. Matter of fact, it's at odds with morality. You know, you can be empathetic and feel for somebody, but still, you know, cut them out of the equation because it's more profitable to you. It helps the bottom line. But yet at the same time, like those mega churches and, you know, those spiritual gurus and all of that, you have to understand that there is this power structure in our world, and if we don't anchor ourselves at the top in some way, shape, form, then we have no control of the way that, you know, things go. We can't dictate, right? He with the gold makes the rules, right? That's the golden rule. If you got the gold, you make the rules. Are we talking spiritual gold or physical? You know. Every day, you know, I think about how I can, well, for one, you know, it's a daily struggle for me just to, you know, try to be a good person, try to stay sober, try to, you know, work towards my goals, my dreams, put in effort. You know, and I found myself at the times when I've had the most success being the worst of myself. And I've found myself sometimes when I've had the least being at the best. So I think it all kind of boils down to, you know, coming to terms with happiness isn't found in things, you know, shit outside of ourselves. It's not in cars and clothes and fancy homes and all of that, even though, you know, I admit we all like that stuff. We all want those things. We all try to attain those things. You know, it's the name of the game, right? He who dies with the most toys wins. But on this journey of accumulating toys and things, you know, what are we losing or what are we exchanging? Morality, our values, our soul? Is this ultimately, and this kind of comes down to the, you know, selling your soul. And I've been a firm believer that, yeah, you can, and I know this for a fact because I study the occult, you can do rituals, right, where you make deals with Lucifuge Refacal, right? We've talked about this, Grand Clavicle, we've showed all these. You can make actual contracts with entities, you know, and sell your soul that way. You can sign physical contracts and give yourself over to corporations, right? A corporation, it's an entity. You know, giving yourself over to a physical entity. One that will control and dictate your opinions and your views and things you can, can't say, things you can, can't do, etc. Because you're under contract. Which is a restriction, contraction, right? It's a restriction. Or you can do it a little at a time, and this is what I find most people do. Piece by piece, day by day, choice by choice, we compromise. We compromise ourselves. We compromise our values, what we believe in order to attain the things that we want, to get ahead, to satiate our desires and our impulses, right? If you have an impulse or a desire to fornicate with someone, just for instance, but you're married, you know, you can stay within your moral center, your moral base, and know that that's not wrong, that goes against what you believe, or, assuming that you do. And deny yourself that pleasure you're seeking, or you can compromise, right? You can go out, get that pleasure, and you have to lie. Possibly hurt another person, by committing the act of adultery. Even if your person doesn't find out, In business, okay? Say you want to selling somebody something, and it's not that great of a product, but you're going to make a large sum of money off of it, right? So you tell the person that's buying it that it's good anyways. Compromising yourself. What you believe, your values, you're lying. You're misrepresenting something, and you know that it's going to bring somebody harm one day, maybe down the road, or bring them loss or grief one day into the future. But in the moment, you want the money because you want to buy a new car, or want to have a down payment on a home, or whatever. It's these type of decisions, these type of choices. Every time we choose to act on impulse, every time we choose to act out of character and leave our moral base, we give away a piece of who we are. And I feel like every time we do that too, and drugs and alcohol and all that's terrible for it as well. People sell their bodies, they steal, they lie, they kill, But every time we do these things, we make these choices to hurt other people, to lie, to steal, to kill, to whatever, right? To cheat, to be dishonest. Even when we're lying to ourselves and acting like we're doing it for a noble cause, or we're lying to ourselves and acting like nobody's getting hurt, we give a little bit of ourselves away. We're a little less than what we were before we did the act. We're a little less than what we were before we said the lie. And then before you know it, by the time you're into adulthood, deep into adulthood, middle age, there's nothing left. There's nothing you won't do. There's no one you won't hurt. If your belief is that everything is all about you, and that this world, your life, people, everyone in it is only here to serve you, that it's all about your impulses, how you feel, right? Then that's the type of life you're going to live. You're not going to have a soul by the time this one's over. The only thing that guides you is what pleases you, right? And what pleases you probably will harm another. And that's what it means to sacrifice yourself, right? For the good of others, to serve for the good of others. And I think that's what it's all really about at the end of the day. It's like trying to become a better person, not so we can have more toys or have more things or glorify our status more or please ourselves and pleasure ourselves and serve our impulses and all of that. But it's so we can serve our fellow man better, our communities better, the world better. We can give more, we can be more. And every time we make a right choice, a right decision, something that doesn't harm another, we create a karmic balance for the good. We're accumulating gold. We're storing up the gold in heaven, right? He with the gold makes the rules. So it's all about the freedom you're trying to attain. You can be a slave spiritually and have the gold in this world, or you can serve, and in essence, be a slave in Christ, like Paul said, right? He's choosing to be he's willingly giving himself up in this world, serving people, putting others first, to have spiritual freedom. I mean, the choice ultimately is up to you. Up to each and every one of us. And there's no right or wrong on what you choose to do. I guess it's all about you. But imagine if everyone had an attitude of serving, giving, helping others. Nobody, and I mean nobody, would ever have a need. Nobody would ever have to lie, steal, or do anything to try to get ahead, because we'd all be taking care of one another. This has been Master in the Matrix. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. Please hit the like, share this, subscribe. Like I said, guys, I am moving. I went and looked at a few apartments. I got to save up like $3 grand, so I really need help. If you guys can donate and support, I greatly appreciate it. Join us on Patreon, YouTube subscriptions, book a personal reading, check out our other videos, our collabs, our tarot, our astrology, all of it, man. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.